Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining us for our chat on cloud migrations and modernization. I'm Sandeep from Rackspace Technology, and I'm excited to be your host. We're thrilled to have Venkat Sudhakar, SVP and Global Head, IT Infrastructure and Cloud at Allcargo Logistics, with us today to share his insights on how Allcargo has harnessed cloud technologies to become a leader in innovation within the logistics industry. Sudhakar, thank you for being here. Let's dive right in. So
Sure, Sandeep.
first, setting the stage, uh, we've been part of Allcargo's journey, and I've seen how it has evolved. But before we dive into that journey, could you just give us a brief overview of Allcargo Logistics and its key business operations?
Sure, Sandeep. First of all, thank you for hosting me. It's a real great opportunity and to be talking to you, who actually have been with us in the thick and thin of the whole operation as such, right? So, Sandeep, as you know, Allcargo is India's largest integrated logistics provider and global leader in less than container load, that is LCL consolidation. As a group, we actually are headquartered in Mumbai, and we recently completed 30 years of us being in existence in logistics department. And we have our reach, spanning over about 180 countries. And we have our door-to-door deliveries in more than 50 markets. And the best part about us is not only in India, but across the globe, we are known for being the one-stop shop for, logistics solutions.
Thank you so much. How has Allcargo embraced digital technologies to enhance both operational efficiency and customer experience?
Well, it's funny that you talk about customer experience because our digital transformation journey, if you see, we say that is built on 4 pillars, and coincidentally, the first one is customer experience, actually. So what we mean by that is, our customers have the tools and technologies available and provided from our side to conduct business, in 24/7 operations mode with just a click of a button, right? And also the customer service and our assistance is accessible across, digital platforms, like be it on website, WhatsApp chat, applications, customer portal, social media, and whatnot. So that is the first pillar that we built our digital transformation journey on. And moving on to the second pillar, it is actually the infrastructure. When I talk about infrastructure, it is typically the facilities like warehouses, CFS, the surface transshipment centers. These are the infrastructure for which is a baseline or foundation for logistics industries, right? And that ably supported by our warehouse management solution and automation, of course, is the key aspect of that infrastructure. When you talk about infrastructure, the other thing that I wanted to call out is, our board is very much focused on the ESG aspect, the environmental, societal, social, and corporate governance standards. That is the other foundation for our infrastructure pillar. Then the third pillar in that digital transformation journey that I talked about is the teams. When I talk about teams, it is about secure online network, how the teams collaborate with each other, efficiency, improving productivity. So those are the components, Sandeep, that part, that fall part of that third pillar of teams. And the last one is partnership. Like in any industry, logistics industry involves with many integrations, be it with your customs department, the law of the land, your partners, your end users who actually use your tools. And these are the things that actually are the part of that fourth pillar, partnership. And in that part, we talked about, be it API, EDI, online training for the partners and vendors to, utilize our services and, our products and solutions. So these are the top 4 pillars we would call, Sandeep, that actually form our digital transformation journey and that overall process, I would say.
It's very interesting. Whatever little I know of the industry, it it is an industry that has many touch points, and traditionally people have the view that it is a very paper exchange industry, right? You record everything, but it is also then an industry which is kind of ripe for using digital technologies uh, to improve the experience for itself, for its customers, for its employees, and making itself more efficient, right? And in that efficiency, then of course your customers are happier with faster knowledge and faster transaction, right? Uh,
Absolutely, Sandeep.
right. So your pillars, like four pillars, very clearly articulate, how you've kind of harnessed that experience. Uh, you know, what were your digital transformation is one, and you can drive it in multiple ways. But what were your key drivers of uh, moving to cloud or using that as a pillar for your digital transformation?
Well, when we started this digital transformation journey, Sandeep, we had many activities initiated as part of that journey. And we typically love this 2.0. So there are so many 2.0s that we initiated, like, data lake 2.0, master data management 2.0, data center 2.0. When we talked about the data center 2.0, that is where this cloud came into picture. We wanted to utilize the best of the cloud. And when we were evaluating, there were, a couple of things that we were looking for when we wanted to initiate that journey to the cloud, right? The first one was the flexibility and scalability. That was the first thing that we wanted. In India, Sandeep, we are actually in this Dashara Diwali season. So the peak season, like in West, you would see that in Thanksgiving or in Christmas time, right? So one thing that we would be requiring, over the years and also in future as well, of course, is that flexibility and scalability. So that, during the peak season, you actually have the capacity at your hand at a click of a button in a way, right? The second one is, God forbid something were to happen, the backup recovery and failover and restoration. That is the second key component, Sandeep. And cloud actually gives us that flexibility of having a quick failover, opportunity if something bad were to happen. The third one, like any industry, that we are going through in the world, cost. How to ensure that efficient use of money that you have, optimized costs is the other component, Sandeep. The fourth one was that simplified management and monitoring, so that it is easier for you to transfer workloads from one place to other place, have that flexibility of restructuring and reorganizing your workloads based on the current requirement that you will be having and all of that. The fifth one is the GRC aspect, the governance, risk, and compliance, Sandeep. So at broad level, if you see, when we started this journey to the cloud, Sandeep, these are the 5 or 6 that we were really focusing on.
Okay. So thanks a lot. And I'll dive into our real world impacts and outcomes. But I would
Sure.
say, I'm based out of Singapore. This is the peak period for giving gifts, etc. So I'm exploring like how to send things to my friends, family, some of the colleagues. So I'm sure you will be part of our value chain. So it's good to know that you have that scalability to make sure what I am ordering, reaches people on time. So with that,
Absolutely.
let
And
me
Sandeep, that actually gives me opportunity. I think I should be there in Singapore to receive those surprised gifts, you see?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. We would love to host you. So, let's dive into the real world impact. So, of what you've seen, right? Can you walk us through the impact that you've seen on cloud migration on your supply chain, from an efficiency, cost saving, scalability, all of that perspective?
Yeah, definitely. After moving to the cloud, it definitely helped us on 3, 4 things. See, at the end of the day, Sandeep, a typical CFO or a business leader, what do they look for? They expect your technology to be available to them all the times. So more about availability. Second, God forbid if something was to happen, at least they want that predictability. Like, okay, Sudhakar, you are taking the system down on a Sunday afternoon, 2 to 4, for example, that predictability, that at least they know that, okay, rest of the time it is available. And during that scheduled outage window or planned scheduled change or whatever, during that time, the system is predictable. Like during that time, it won't be available. So those are the two things, the availability and predictability. From the technology standpoint, if you see, it definitely provides you the visibility on right utilization, right? Where are the peaks coming in? Is it during the peak hours? Is it during the data replication? Is it during the backup process? So those are the things that actually help. And because of that, the opportunity to right size it during that time. Cloud gives you that flexibility to add, augment, or reduce the capacity during that time, right? And of course, at the end, the opportunity to optimize it with each passing minute, because with each passing minute, if not second, you are paying money, right? Each bad decision that you take, you are leaking dollars. So those are the 3, 4 things I would say, Sandeep, that are the positive impact that cloud helped us from business and also from technology standpoint, Sandeep.
Okay. And you've partnered with Rackspace and AWS. How has that partnership accelerated your transformation journey? And how has it kind of positioned you to be the leader in the logistics industry?
Oh, tough question. With Sandeep being there, it is little tricky to answer. But no, on the serious note, we definitely wanted someone who is a trustworthy partner, who has been there, done that, right, Sandeep? And also who has been there, done that in various locations. As you know, we have our presence in more than 180 countries. So we needed some global partner who actually has that coverage, that depth, and that understanding, so that they actually could share not only what we want to achieve, but also share their knowledge, their best practices that they have learned, the hardware, the software, from different other engagements that they were part of, Sandeep. So, the partner was very clear because we needed someone who actually has that global footprint and who has done that in so many things. And the cloud provider, that was little tricky to choose, because we definitely wanted someone who will be with us for long term. So those are the two aspects that actually helped us with landing in AWS and Rackspace as such.
Yeah,
So definitely helped us. I think at the outset now, I definitely think we made the right decision.
thank you. Thank you for that. And we've been through the journey. Like, every journey has its ups and downs.
Of
But I
course.
guess, all with all the three parties coming together, what I observed in this journey was how we stayed close to each other
Yeah.
and how we stayed close to the outcomes that need to get delivered, right? And that was the most important thing. That didn't mean that we, did not have our ups and downs, but we powered through it. Now,
For sure.
and what tangible benefits have you observed uh, since you migrated to AWS? And, how do these improvements align with what your future strategy is and how it's going to shape the future for you as a company?
On the tangible benefits, I would say there are 4 or 5 things. Like I was mentioning earlier, whatever we planned for, whatever we anticipated with our journey to the cloud, we could achieve that flexibility. The first thing that we actually achieved is, I would say, flexibility. The scalability is the other one. The predictability is the third component, not only from the operations, Sandeep, the cloud operations, but also from the cash outflow, other things as well. Like, with the dynamic pricing and the costing and the invoicing that you could see real time on cloud, you actually could make the informed decision that do we really require this expensive storage? Do you really require these many snapshots? Do you really require this much of, idle compute power? So those are the things, that the predictability aspect. It definitely helped us in cost efficiency because of that predictability that comes into the mix. And I would say the fifth one is, a better and improved security.
And when you think about it, right, like from a technology point of view, it gave you the platform, right,
Mhm.
to be agile, to be scalable, to be secure. But like when you think about, and I had a couple of questions, but I'm going to merge the two of them into one, which
Mhm.
is really, as a business, you are trying to continuously improve, trying to figure out new ways of growing, trying to figure out how do you take market share from others, right? Which is, you become an industry leader. How, you know, how does this transformation that you're going through, how do you think it'll actually impact on the business side of things? Do you see, that you are now better positioned to take advantages of some of what, let's say, the worldwide leaders are doing in this space, or that there are new revenue streams that your business is thinking about that you would be able to enable it better?
So from the business standpoint, Sandeep, if you look at Allcargo journey in the last 30 years, we grew through various organic and inorganic ways. Like we acquired companies in different geographies, and we, grew through so many internal transformation initiatives that we have done. So one thing that our management looks from technology tower is that flexibility that tomorrow if they say, hey, you know what, we actually planning to acquire this company, or even better, we recently acquired this business, go merge it and, bring that into our global standard of technology framework per se. That is something that we are always ready for. So, like I was mentioning earlier, the flexibility of cloud and the flexibility on digital transformation journey gives us and keeps us ready and keeps us on our toes to bring in any sudden surge in the business, be it through, organic or inorganic initiative. That is one. The second thing in our long-term strategy, for last 10 years or so, we openly mentioned it being the publicly traded company. We openly mentioned it to the public that we want our company to be technology-centric logistics company, technology-centric, technology-dependent, the logistics integrated organization, so that at a click of a button, you can achieve so many things, whether we are awake or not in that time zone, right? So from the business standpoint, those two are the key pillars that they expect us to be ready with. The moment they identify a potential opportunity to do organic or inorganic growth or a huge jump, be ready with your golden framework and your golden technology standard. And the second thing is about engaging and keeping that always ready for the end users, so that it is the ease of operations, ease of doing business is available. As long as we provide those two aspects, Sandeep, I think our business is always happy. And, logistics, at least being an India-centric company, with India planning to become a 5 trillion country, $5 trillion country, the third largest economy in the world. Logistics and road and transportation are two places where government is putting a lot of focus. And being the biggest in India, we always have that advantage to ride in that growth path as such, right, Sandeep?
Oh yeah, true. And I had two observations there. We talk about digital natives, so people who've kind of built their business on technology. But more and more, that word is also starting to apply to, let's say, what was the traditional sector of the industry, and how
Yeah.
they are using the technology to kind of reimagine their business, where the technology becomes a key portion, of enabling that business. And, as I've been part of the journey, and I've, for you and a number of Indian customers, that is what I see, right? That how that people are starting to reimagine their business using technology, and that adoption of technology, and with with how AWS has penetrated in the market. Uh, and that has given a platform to a lot of customers, easy access to cloud, easy and secure access to cloud in their own territory, right? And that's what I see. So that is one. The second is, we work with a number of private equity firms, and the companies that they hold, and it's always, you're acquiring, you're divesting, and through that journey, uh, one is value maximization, the other is really how you're always ready to split or to merge, right? And that's what one thing that we've seen, that if you have the right cloud platform, then that addition and deletion becomes so much easier. So that value creation becomes so much more accelerated, right? So that's the second observation that I have. But I wanted to take you back to some of the operational challenges, right? That you have. What was the biggest hurdle for you in your cloud migration, and how did you overcome?
I would not say hurdles as such, but there were definitely some challenges. And, like you mentioned earlier, you, I, and, AWS, all three organizations came together to, come out of those operational hiccups, I would say. May not be, hurdle might be a little too tough a word or harsh a word. um, I would say a couple of things that come to my mind when you talk about the hiccups or hurdles. One is the application readiness. Like, when you have your in the previous point you did mention about companies who are born cloud native, right? So for them the advantage is that when you started your application, when you started your business, that is on cloud with microservices, with the latest high advice, right? But for company that is in existence for last 30 years, some legacy will be definitely there, and it should be there, I would say. That is the tribal knowledge and advantage that we all have, right? So those legacy, moving those legacy applications, legacy data, those legacy the old information and data that you have captured in some form or shape, how you can actually make it cloud ready and migrate it to cloud ready. That was one of the thing that I would say was one of the challenge. The second is, business never wants to have, downtime. But at the end of the day, even though you know that it will be a simple lift and shift and a little bit of transformation, there will be some outage that you need to plan, and getting that okay from a region, different countries with different working days, working hours and all, that was another component. The third aspect I think I would put is about the governance, risk, and security aspect. So these are the three things that I would say were the hiccups or focus areas. I think that is a better word, where we actually spent little time. The good part about that was because these are like standard things in your checklist. We together with our partners, AWS and Rackspace, we could plan, we could schedule, we could anticipate, so that, at least 98, 99% of the things you covered well in advance. And of course, during the migration, whatever came as a surprise, we definitely had to react at that time rather than plan, right? So yeah, those were the three, four things I would say, Sandeep.
And security is at the top of the mind for people, right? And while I've seen boards and C levels being very supportive, like everybody wants to have a posture on cloud, right? What is our position on cloud and why we are not on cloud? But pretty soon that starts to devolve into, hey, but is my data going to be secure? Am I going to get docked in various jurisdictions based on various laws, right? And logistics is such a sensitive area, and you operate in European Union, you operate in India, you operate in multiple parts, and they all have their different standards and how they want to treat data. So how did you address the concerns around security and compliance?
This was little tricky and little tough as well, Sandeep. The reason for that is nowadays, each country, each region is coming up with their own data policy, data, laws that are very particular to that law of land, be it in Saudi Arabia, be it in California, GDPR, DPDP in India, in each location, and China has its own version of whatever we call as a DPDP. So, from the governance and compliance standpoint, ensuring that all these ticks are done in the right boxes was one of the key things that we planned well in advance, and in association with the partners and also our legal teams, we had to come up with what are the mandated steps that we needed to perform. From the risk standpoint, I think it was a different approach. It started way before we planned for the migration steps, right? So conducting a risk assessment, ensuring that you have, robust security measures, something like, multi-factor authentication, for example. I'm just picking something as an example. And developing and implementing those specific policies and procedures into the system, some documentation, periodic, audits, periodic reviews, both internal and external. Working with you guys, your sales team will, tell stories about how many, days and nights we spent together to ensure that to come to the consensus that what is the interpretation of this specific requirement in technology foray, right? So, and at the end of the day, it is a journey. It is not something that you can say, hey, you know what, 3 years back, 3 months back, 3 weeks back, 3 hours back, we completed that. No, it is a continuous process. It is a journey that we need to keep focusing. But these are the things that definitely will keep you ahead of the curve and be little ready for any unforeseen things. That way you can respond rather than react, because during the reaction you typically do more things in hurry. So I would
Yeah,
say that these are the top
no,
of the mind.
absolutely. My two learnings, as I went through this journey with you was one is, the standards are the standards, but they apply slightly differently, have slightly different meanings in different industries because some are more highly regulated, some are not, right? Some are high touch, some are low touch. While the principles are there, but how do you apply them to different industries is slightly different, right?
Yeah.
And the second one is the regulation keeps evolving. So we've seen we talk about data security, compliance, all of that, and here comes AI, and now
Yeah.
you have another set of you know issues around like what is the ethical use of AI and etc. etc. Right now, so I have two questions on that. The final two
Mhm.
questions, right?
Mhm.
And I will weave in the AI into my first question, which is what emerging trends you foresee at the intersection of technology and logistics? How are you preparing for those trends? And I will add a twist to it. Like by doing all of this work, do you think you're better positioned to harness the power of AI?
Uh, I'm not sure if I would say that we are in a better position, but we are ready. Uh, like I think in the previous question I was mentioning that our company, at least in the last decade or so, has put technology at the center when we were planning our overall business journey, business transformation. That way we actually came up with this digital transformation, so it is more like business are literally riding on our digital transformation journey. So the first point about the emerging trends, nowadays no technology conversation can end without the word artificial intelligence, in that conversation, right? So be it the LLM or SLM component of it, how you ensure that your artificial intelligence is utilizing, is helping your overall business. That way we are little definitely ahead, because we already have put artificial intelligence in use, Gen AI in use in couple of our scenarios already. Our other initiative like EQ360, the 24/7 chat bots, and the application tightly integrated with that and WhatsApp chat. And these are the things that are already in use as we speak. And when we talk about other trends, when talk about digital twin, talk about operational transformation, operational technology, the IoT, logistics industry we having our presence in more than 180 countries and different types of, business within the logistics aspect, be it on the first mile, middle mile, last mile, each one is evolving as we speak. Starting from using a barcode printer in warehouse vis-a-vis taking that barcode printer to your customer side, be it on the end user customer or at the B2B segment. Each day the evolution, not necessarily from the technology, but the utilization of that technology in a different use case. Using it inside a warehouse vis-a-vis using it at a doorstep is a completely a different ball game. Talk about the stationary requirement, the cartridge, the power, the backup, so many things. So definitely, not only logistics, but overall, I would say business and technology are so tightly intertwined, Sandeep, one cannot live without other. Now,
Yeah.
how are we ready? Because we started this journey little ahead and we have done that in more than one location, more than one entity, it gives us that confidence. It is the same experience that you have, that we partnered you with, right? The same experience. Once you have been there, done it, someone actually explained this to me in a simple words. What is easy? What is tough? Something that you do for the first time is tough. Something that you do regularly is easy. So by working with the partners and seasoned cloud providers who actually have done this in various scenarios across the globe, and we ourselves having the first-hand experience of doing it more than once in different region, definitely puts us in that positive advantage, and be ready for the business to provide them with the best of the technology that is available at that point of time, Sandeep.
No, that's good. And so you you made a very good point about easy and tough. Uh, I will borrow that. The next time I'm making a customer pitch, I'll definitely borrow that. My job as a vendor is to make it easy for you because I've done it many times. And it is tough for you because you're doing it for the first time. But,
First time.
now that you've done it, a few times, and so it is kind of becoming easier for you, I would like you to help or maybe provide your perspective of what can other companies in your industry learn from, right? They are hesitant, they have concerns on cost, complexity. How do I take the first step? Do I do it myself? I don't have the skills. Should I get somebody out, but I don't know even how to govern them? Change management, you know, etc., etc. Now that you will find it easier going forward, what advice would you give to other people so they might go on the path of easiness, or they might start their journey on easiness?
I think you used three, four C's there. One is cost, one is complexity, another one is change. I think you used those three C's. And to be fair to other companies within our industry or outside, Sandeep, all these are valid concerns, right? All these are valid points. So I would say, good that you are actually thinking in the right way. The idea is to come around that. So if you are actually having the questions or doubts, talk about or work on what are the complexities that you are talking about. What are the change management that you are talking about? Because especially the change management in the cloud aspect is more luckily for technology side rather than from business side, right? Because for business, as long as they click the button and the application opens, they don't care whether you put it on-prem, cloud, hybrid, it doesn't matter to them. And cost, which is very important, and business will be focusing on that. So I would say three C's are very important, which is a really good starting point, but it is about planning. So when you talk about cost, what is the current capital expenditure or recurring operational expenditure you are spending. Create that total cost of ownership and return on investment graph and see, does it make sense for you to even move ahead with cloud? That is the first step, I would say. Complexity, of course, nothing is easy. Look for something that is easier to migrate with less dependency on your core application and see how that behaves. And then you will have the confidence on how to move them in your respective, in your respective business areas. Change management, definitely you need training. You need to focus more on the technology team and make them understand why you are doing what you are doing and how it is going to help, our lives, the technology team members' life, and also the business life easier because, earlier we talked about the advantages of moving to cloud. So I think with these basic steps, Sandeep, you will be psychologically ready to make a call whether you should move ahead in that direction or do you still have some time before you commit to that journey. Because, based on the TCO and return on investment, you definitely will get an idea. But from the technology side, you definitely should be ready from the complexity and change management perspective, Sandeep.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Sudhakar. Thank you for sharing those words of wisdom. And I hope people, hearing that will start figuring out, how to make that journey easier and easier for them, right? So I'll close now. It was very good to hear your inputs, insights into your journey on cloud and what impact it has had on you and in your journey towards making it, making yourself a digital native company. uh, and it's how it has helped drive operational excellence and innovation in your company. And I hope our listeners will take cues from here to figure out, how can they start on the journey and how can they overcome the resistance that they might have internally to get onto that path, right? And thank you everyone for joining us today. If you have any questions, please feel free to send an email to apj.inquiry@rackspace.com. We have a QR code just after this. We hope you found this chat valuable. And if you're interested in exploring how cloud technology can transform your journey, your business, the details are going to be on the next slide. Thank you so much. Have a great day ahead.
Thank you for having me, Sandeep. As always pleasure to have these conversations with you and getting that different perspective from different technologies, different businesses, and different regions. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.